Hello everyone, my name is General Fancy Pants, and welcome to this bonus content of Memoria. I thought I'd start here actually. I know in the last episode, if you did watch the final episode of the series that I did, if not, I would say go ahead and watch that series because it's very good game and yeah. So this was one of the things that I actually did want to go through. When I actually went through the original game, or through the game the first time, I did tell him to tell me everything, which he literally told us everything that happened. So now I'm going to see what happens if we do keep it short.
Nuri is waiting for a transformation outside the chamber, so hurry up. You've lost Sadia and want to know what happened to her. That's why you sent us your memories. You want us to find out for you, right?
Right. 400 years after our separation, I finally found a way out of the Gorian desert. I followed her trail back to Draconia. I found the Adept's journal and the Djinn of Times' mask. But Sadia's real fate remained a mystery to me. Finally, I met Fahi and asked him to bring me here. A man named Ulrich had taken her ruby from Draconia and brought it to Andergast. He sought the mask in order to bring back his deceased wife, but he found only the gemstone. I wanted to bring together all the relics surrounding Sadia's disappearance and finally understand what happened to her. At least I would know what happened to her. She deserved that.
Does it matter how she died? She's dead. We can't change that.
You're wrong. You will determine what happened to her.
I don't understand.
The Garden of Oblivion, Geron. I read the journal to the end. After her return, Sadia went into the Garden of Oblivion and never came out again. Nothing that happens in the garden has actually happened until someone talks about it. Outside the garden.
And since Sadia has been forgotten since that day, her fate has never been told, and thus never completed.
Okay, so now we'll just do I see, because we know all this stuff.
I see.
If we tell the end of Sadia's adventures in the garden, then the story becomes true.
And if we're mistaken,
Satanav's invisible hand will punish us for our sacrilege.
I think I've explained enough about our wondrous meeting.
Okay, so that's a...
Are you ready, Geron?
Just a moment.
I would just say alright, because we did see all this.
All right.
Then put the mask on the bust of my old master and let us begin.
Okay, so that is definitely a much faster exposition than the first time around. So that's that. I just wanted to show you that. So yeah. Okay, now we're going to actually try to see what happens when we put the mask on through the bust, and see what happens if we just completely make up something
Thank you, Geron.
Completely random.
Are you ready now?
Yes.
Let's get this over with.
Thank you, Geron.
Why are you thanking me, Brider?
And I'll skip over this.
Sadia's...
Geron,
I can actually
there's
just
nothing
hit
left.
escape. There we go. Let's see what happens if we say the staff should do it.
If Sadia's fate is so important to you, why don't you finish it yourself?
If I were the right person, I would have done it long ago. But I'm only a fool. An oaf. A mere tool and not the mind behind it. So it was in Sadia's time. And so it is today.
Okay. What if Brida does it?
If it's so important to you, then you finish it.
Thanks, Geron.
Very well. I'll now tell you of Sadia's passage into the garden. As it is written in the Adept's journal, listen closely. At the end, you must tell me how the story ends. After her return from the battlefield, Sadia was only a shadow of herself. She had seen the horrors of the Nether Hells, an ocean of destruction and death. She was the only survivor, but the rest of the world did not care. Sadia's great dream had failed. She wandered the halls of Draconia like a ghost. She didn't eat, and she only slept when exhaustion forced her to. On the fourth day, a young adept saw her at the threshold to the portal. He asked her where she was going. It was cold in the mountains, and she could become lost, whereupon she answered,
I'm going to the garden to break my being.
The boy immediately ran to the air adept.
Alright,
But
we've
help
heard of this
arrived
before.
too late. When they entered the garden, all that they found was the mask and Sadya's ruby next to it. There was no sign of her. Out of fear of challenging Satinath, it was decided that they would forget the incident. No one was allowed to speculate about what had happened on that day. The mask and the ruby were taken to Draconia. The garden was sealed, and Sadya's fate was forgotten. Until today. Are you sure you don't want to finish the tale, Geron?
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's let Bryda do it. Let's see what happens when she finishes it up.
I'm sure.
Then I'll do it. Sadya entered the garden. She had the mask, and she remembered the name of the Djinn of Time. She had come to destroy her consciousness. And there was only one way to do that. She took the mask, read the magic spell inside, put it on, and destroyed her memory. Then she disappeared into the depths of the garden like a soulless waif and was never seen again.
It is done. I had always hoped it would be otherwise. But I was mistaken.
Are you crying?
Of course I'm crying. My princess just died.
Oh, well, I guess that's it then. That was the end just now, wasn't it?
Yes.
No. Since Sadya used the mask, her memories are now in the mask, and thus the true name of the Djinn of Time.
Let's just see. I think this is all going to be the same as what happened in the end of the story, so...
What are you doing?
Yeah, this is going to be all the same. So, I'll end this little segment right here.
Her longing now rules to extinguish the grey present. And
oh no.
Okay. So, that was what happens when you let Bryda do the story. So I think pretty much everything would be the same then. Or the outcome is always the same no matter what story you pick. So that is what happens when Bryda does the story. Okay, now in this section, this is where, in the cutscene, Fahi was seeing what he could see in the ruby, and we had a choice to make here. And I said that they were friends in the first one, because that seemed to make the most sense based on the rest of the story and their interaction with each other when they did meet each other. And I'm talking about Sadya and Kasim right now. Let's see what happens when we say that they're siblings.
So Sadya and the prince really were siblings?
Wait. There's more. Something's happening. A palace guard arrives.
Let me go! You're so pathetic. Isn't that how you like to be treated? Like the dog that you are. At least I have my own teeth. You please me, Sadya, more than I had hoped.
The prince is tormenting the princess. The guard holds her tight. She's at his mercy, but why?
Okay, so the last time I said that she was harangued for no reason, but I'm going to say she committed a crime this time.
Maybe she committed a crime.
They finally let her go. She remains alone in the courtyard.
Really? What are you doing? Are you tattooing yourself? I'm writing my own dynasty. Do you even know what the word means? Dynasty? You can't simply write greatness into your blood. You're either born with it or not. I'll prove it to you. Do you think you could ever be greater than I? You're amusing. Guards! Throw her back into the gutter where you found her. I'm done having my fun with her. Then fetch me a new girl.
Sadya wasn't a princess at all. She was only a poor girl from the streets.
So what?
I don't know, but
Okay, so this is all the same here, so I'm going to
What's
cut
so
it here
funny?
then.
don't you understand?
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, nothing actually really changed. She really wasn't a princess, regardless of how you answered that question. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, that's what happens when you say she's a princess. It doesn't change anything with the outcome. She really isn't a princess, and you just find out that you just answered incorrectly. So that is that. Okay, and for finally, this is probably what maybe some of you have been waiting for. But this is what happens when we get to the point where we have to choose what happens to Nuri when if we leave her as she is. And just to give a little bit of backstory or consequence, it doesn't really seem to matter if you change her back or leave her as she is, because the staff said that he can't restore her memory. So her memory is gone. And when we changed her back to her fairy form, we just basically sat down and started telling her all of the adventures that Garon and Nuri had together. So really there was she was just basically a human form. And we basically just told her what we knew. And all of her memories were gone. So let's see what happens if we leave her as her raven form.
Leave her. Her new life as a raven seems to make her happy.
So be it.
And thus our time together is at an end.
Can I leave now too? I want to fly over the ocean.
Don't leave just yet. It's hard for me, but if you want to leave, then you can.
You still haven't told me who you are.
My name is Garon.
Hello, Garon. I am the raven Nuri Vanda, but you can call me Nuri.
Even if you've forgotten a lot, if you ever get tired of your travels, you'll always find a home with me.
That's nice. It is lovely to meet you, Garon.
Likewise. Farewell, Nuri.
See you later.
I almost like that ending better. Actually, I do like that ending better. I like it much better. And
And thus ends the tale. Did you know that it would come to
okay,
this?
so I can skip over this part because this is just still the same.
Now,
I really actually like that ending much better because Neri in of her being wanted to explore, and she always wanted to see the world, and she always wanted to see the ocean and explore the world. And I think to some degree Garon was kind of holding her back a little bit, if that makes sense. Not in a bad way necessarily, but just that she couldn't do what she wanted because, she was sort of limited to what he wanted to do and where he would let her go. And I got an achievement there, and the achievement is called a gift called Freedom. And I think that's much more applicable. I think it's much more suited to Nuri. She just wanted to be free. And for her to become a raven and to basically start over as a raven, and I think she really did actually like being a raven. I think she liked flying and going wherever she wanted and not being held back by her fairiness, basically. So I really think that was a much more satisfying ending to that particular story arc. So I hope you all enjoyed these bonus there's bonus little things that I threw in the game. I was just kind of curious to see how they changed the ending of the game, and ultimately they really didn't, which is fine. That's how most games are. No matter what kind of choices you make, generally speaking, it's going to end basically the same. And that's fine. I wasn't expecting anything different, so I'm not like upset or I'm not disappointed. Again, I love this game, and I hope you enjoyed this bonus content, and I will see you next time. Until then.